got the trailing edge clamped down there pretty tight because I was pushing them into the ribs, making sure all the ribs were seated deeply into the trailing edge. But, you know, in doing so, I've got these jammed up against the stop, and I don't know if you can see how that's bent in that. So I'm going to release the pressure on the trailing edge, and not going to really let it spring back much, just enough to take the pressure off these noses here, the leading edge, and that's it. And of course I'll make sure that everything is square, that root rib down there stays clamped down good and tight. So I'll make sure this here root rib stays along that there line that's drawn on the table. So they're all in a relatively free state now, and yet still upright, brushing the this here leading edge, or brushing this here straight edge here, and root rib is still clamped. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing these up, and of course the root rib is bent in that 1/4 inch right there, and I'll get some videos of doing that. But right off I found an error, another mistake I can share. Notice how I didn't clean out that corner right there? There's several of them I didn't get to, so I'm going to have to go through my other stack of ribs for the other wing and make sure I get them cleaned. Right now I'm going to have to take a blade and just chip that out of there, and I can move the spar a little bit. It's fairly snug, especially in this rib, because I cut the spar to be snug in the ribs. So now I can't move it very much, but I have to get that glue chipped out of there, and there's another one down there. Okay, I got the rib cleaned up, and I actually changed my mind. I am going to raise my wing up even to glue the ribs up, except I'm going to start with each end rib. That way at least my spar isn't just loose and free in there and wiggling back and forth against each other. I can at least have the end spars, the end ribs glued in, and then I can clamp my ribs against something to keep it from shifting and moving as I'm trying to glue the rest of the ribs up. Now when I glued this on, you want to be pulling the rib in tight against this upright, this vertical beam. That keeps this spar nice and straight. Now mine, I actually had to force it onto here. Not real hard, but it was scraping. So you glue both the rib and the spar cap and the front edge of it, and then you slide it on, and then you clamp it forward, as I've done here, on the bottom and the top. Now see, this is the main reason I want to get it up in the air. There's no way to glue this, pull it forward against that on the bottom. There's no room there. That's about 1/4 inch off the table. So I'm going to go ahead and jack it up, and that's why my second set of wings, like a year and a half ago, something like that, that's why my second set, that's why I did it that way. But I had forgotten that I'd already had my end ribs, which are easy to do. I'd already had them finished, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I did that last time. Well, I already had the end ribs glued on, and I raised it up. Now, right now, what's holding that straight is that trailing edge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to, when I raise it up, that trailing edge somehow is going to have to be held in a straight line, while the end ribs are also held in a perpendicular line. So I also put a little tiny block right there. I didn't put anything on it right now, just so I could show you, but I'm just going to put a weight on it and make sure it's held down and against the rib, and I don't want much pressure towards, you know, pushing out on it. Yeah, something like this here jack, my 3-pound jack. It's probably not a 3-pound jack, but it's heavy. Now back here, this one was pretty snug, or this one here, I'm not going to put a piece in there. The geodetics that come down, the strip wood that turns into geodetic, it comes down here. Anyways, it'll butt up against this right here. And in fact, I'll probably, that little piece, that little shim that I have in there, that'll probably need chisel, you know, shaped on out of there. But anyways, that's how you do it. So now I'll get the outboard side. Oh, got some glue on the front of this one. I got to clean that off first. Alright, now we can put some glue on it here. Take off glue and put on fresh. So you see, make sure you get both places, both pieces. The part you're gluing the spar cap and the rib cap, both, and then the vertical piece here and the front edge of the spar cap. These welding clamps, they really come in handy, especially these long reach ones. Now this one here, I actually shimmed on the bottom side, which I don't typically do, but it just wanted to, it didn't want to, the spar did not want to pull down and put a little spacer in top, so I just went ahead and put it in the bottom. It's not very thick anyway, and that's all lined up, top and bottom. Everything's tight, fitted in. I put a little block there. Now I'll get a little weight and put it on that little block there, and let it dry. And tomorrow I'll go ahead and, hopefully tomorrow, I'll go ahead and jack this thing up, square it, set it square, and then start gluing. I've noticed far more people are watching these videos than I ever expected to watch, and I want you to know, make sure you understand, I'm not an expert, and I've done this a few times, and every time I've fumbled my way through, and you can watch me fumble and see if you can learn from my mistakes, but don't assume that I'm the go-to guy and I know what I'm doing. But you'll fumble your way through it with or without my videos, and you'll figure it out. Probably better way than better way to do all of this than I'm doing.